Welcome back to the Joe Rogan Experience. Tonight, relax and enjoy some of the most fascinating and mind-bending stories from the podcast, the kind that'll make you think, then help you drift off to sleep.
Damn, Seattle.
You must be, I mean, because you're here, right? You feel tremors. They happen all the time, right? I've only had a few times when I felt tremors.
Not all the time. I've felt them before. The biggest ones I ever felt was when I first moved here. I first moved here in '94, and it was right after the Northridge earthquake. Yeah. And I was in my house, and I felt, I guess it was like a 5.5, where the whole thing just... It was weird.
Yeah.
It gave me the impression that the house that I was living in, or the apartment that I was in, was made out of the same stuff, like a box that a refrigerator would come in.
Yeah.
You know how you kind of move it around?
Yeah, you can go and play inside. Yeah.
The whole thing was just moving like easily left and right. I was like, holy shit.
Well, that was I've only had a few times that I've, felt it. I'm like, it's at first I thought it was a truck. I thought a truck was rolling by.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and somebody's like, no, man, that was an earthquake.
And the one that I experienced was nothing. I mean, it's a baby one. The ones that they're getting, right now somewhere in the world. I mean, there's always something that's like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah. So this goes back to your point about the, a lot of planets, right, will be like way more plate tectonically active,
volatile,
than ours. So I think good planets are going to be like really hard to find.
Yeah.
So that may be the solution. The other solution is the way you guys found out about it was I did that article about the previous civilization. How do you know whether or not there was a previous civilization on Earth? And one solution could be that look, they were here. That somebody did arrive and spent some time on Earth. But if it was like 500 million years ago, and they only lasted, right, every civilization has a finite lifetime. They only lasted for, even a few 100,000 years, they wouldn't leave. There'd be no record left.
There would be nothing left.
There'd be nothing left.
Do you think that's possible, that something's ever visited here? And because that is the big question, and that's the thing that gets the UFO dorks more jazzed up than anything is the possibility that we've been visited.
Yeah, I'm definitely not UFOs. I have two arguments against UFOs. One is as a friend of mine, Jason Wright, says, is like, look, as astronomers, man, we're finding all those asteroids. We're finding little chunks of rock moving. Nobody looks at the sky harder than we do, right? And if anything, unless you want to go to the conspiracy theories, we would have found something. My other argument is like, what's with the headlights? You know what I mean? People are always like, oh man, I saw lights in the sky, and then they moved around, and then they disappeared. But they don't really want to be seen. I'm like, well, why do they have headlights on? Like, why just turn off the freaking lights?
Why would they have lights in the first place?
Why do they have lights? Like what? You came from another civilization and you can't get around without your high beams?
The idea is, what the fuck are you seeing with those lights?
Right.
You're not seeing shit.
Yeah, right.
When was the last time you saw, planes have lights so other planes don't run into them. They don't have lights so they can see where they're going.
Yeah, so what? So why do they have, right, exactly. Yeah. The planes have lights so other people can see them. So if they're but they're mysterious, they don't want to be found, then turn off the freaking lights. So,
well, they wouldn't have any lights. Right. Yeah, they always have lights.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's it. People are always saying like, oh man, I saw lights in the sky, and then they move back and forth. And so I just think
also a problem with human memory. Memory is horrible.
Yeah,
and memory of events that are stunning, or shocking, or unnerving, or you think you saw something.
Right. They've done all that research, even in trials, right, where people see things. So I just UFOs. I'm just kind of like,
but. Do you think it's possible that there could be life on other planets, and it's possible that there could be intelligent life on other planets, and we send probes to Mars? Why wouldn't we? And I think that if they do send something here, they're going to send something without biological life inside of it.
Yeah, this. What's a really interesting question is like, we're talking about like what will we evolve into in a million years? It may be possible that biology is a short period of intelligence.
Yeah,
like you build machines, and the machines become either you download yourself into them. I mean, that's a real possibility that silicon makes a lot more sense than wetware.
Well, the problem is we think of artificial intelligence as artificial.
Right.
It's definitely real.
Right. Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
It's not fake. It's right there.
Right.
It's like there's artificial milk. You know what I mean? But it's a liquid. It's an actual liquid.
Yeah.
There's not an artificial life. It's just silicon created life.
Right. And that's, again, the idea that the biosphere, this may be what the biosphere solution to spreading itself, to getting it, maybe that, silicon, that's a kind of a normal phase. I mean, I am super skeptical about like the whole transhuman thing about we're going to download ourselves into intelligence, into computers.
Have you ever gone to one of those conventions and talked to those dorks?
No, there's some pretty serious dorking going on there.
Well, there's geniuses in those dorks too. It's really interesting. It's like they're fully, wholly committed to this prospect of downloading themselves. Have you talked to Kurzweil before?
No, but I've read his stuff.
I had a chance to interview him a few years back for Sci-Fi.
He's super smart. That dude is like
beyond
super smart.
But goddamn, is he committed to it? And then when you get to it, you realize that what he actually wants to do is recreate his father. Yeah, his father died when he was young, and he wants to be able to, through memories and photographs and what he knows about his father, literally recreate his father be able to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
He was talking about this.
Right.
But what he's doing is he's going way, way into the future, into the possibilities of, he's not seeing like, 5 years from now, we're going to be able to send, gigabyte pictures through the mail. No, he's saying, let's think of if you keep going exponentially and electronics and technology and innovation keeps continually accelerating, we could potentially get to the point where it's the impossible. Well, you would be able to recreate human beings based on your knowledge of them, and they'll be able to come up with some sort of a program where he'll be able to have a conversation with his father.
Yeah, see, I think that I think it's it's true about like the possibility of a singularity in technological development, but it's not going to be his father. That's the sad thing. You know, I think we seriously, I've done some work on this as an interest of mine about mind. What is mind? What's the relationship between mind and matter? And I think we have like a serious misunderstanding. We don't understand consciousness very well at all. So the idea that like, oh yeah, it's just gonna be trivial to download your consciousness into a computer, I think it's pretty, there's like a shitload of assumptions in there about like what mind is and the relationship between like your neurons and, awareness. Yeah. So that's why I think those guys, it's a little bit of a religion. You know what I mean?
It is a little bit of a religion.
We will transcend and, so it's like.
Well, 2045 is the new benchmark for whatever reason. That's the new number.
They're going to keep pushing it back. It's going to be like every other, every other rapture. Oh, we thought it was 2045. We really meant 2065, Well,
we went to this 2045 conference, me and my friend Ari and Duncan, and we got to talk to some of these guys, and it was really fascinating. And one of them had created some robot that was supposed to be him, but it didn't work well, so they never revealed it at the conference. It had too many bugs in it. But it's intriguing. It's like I want them to keep going. Because, when are we going to get to Ex Machina? When are we going to get
Talk about good movies, though. Did you like that
one?
One
of my favorite movies ever.
So smart. So, like simple. He's not beating you over the head with it. It's
no
just
cut the shit moments in that movie.
Yeah, no.
You were like, whoa. The entire. I think that's one of my all-time top 20 movies.
When she stabs him, just emotionless. Just like, I'm putting the blade in.
It was amazing. Okay. Amazing.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, right. Did you like Annihilation?
Yes.
I liked it a lot too.
I didn't like it as much, but I liked it. It was very weird. And the ending seemed like some producers put their jizz in the soup. It's just like,
back to panspermia.
Yeah, what's happening here? Who made this part?
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it,
Yeah. So I think and the danger with anything when it comes to AI and stuff. So here's an interesting thing about AI. Like we are making amazing strides with AI.
Yeah.
Now artificial intelligence is different from artificial consciousness. You know what I mean? So but the AI that, what we're getting out of it is nothing like us, right? So back in the day where people were like, oh, we're going to like model the human brain and that's how we'll do it. We'll like make programs that are what they've learned is like, oh, that doesn't really work that well. So now this is the whole big data thing, like, network theory and big data and deep learning, where like, they're using statistical, the power of having huge amounts of computing and statistical reasoning so that like, the computer, like, it'll find the picture of the cat, but you have no idea why it found the picture. It didn't reason like, oh yeah, that sort of looks like cat and I like cats. It was just like, oh, these kinds of lines go with that kind of thing. It has no idea what it's doing, but it'll act intelligently. And so that's, that's kind of freaky deaky in a lot of ways too. I think I think it's smart to think about the dangers of AI, not necessarily when it takes over.
The dangers to us.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the dangers. Just the dangers to this thing that we are, this weird monkey thing.
Yeah.
That wants to keep being a monkey thing.
Yeah. Well, you mean in the sense of like, that it's going to replace us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. I mean, don't you think that if you go back and interview the single-celled organism before it branched off into multi-celled,
That'd be kind of a boring interview.
Fuck this multi-celled bullshit. I want to stay a single cell at the bottom of the ocean.
These guys are assholes, man, with their rock and roll
What are they
music.
gonna do? They're going to make cars? Fuck that. I don't want a car, man. I like staying down here.
Yeah.
Like there's a real thought to that we are the wetware that is the problem.
Yeah. No, listen, I think it's fully conceivable. Like, I'm not going to be like, it'll never happen. But as a guy I know who's a philosopher says, there's a certain way in which everything we do with AI right now, it's not like, Watson is playing chess. It's like we're using Watson to play chess. It's our tool, And I think the fear is the tool gets out of hand. Not that it like develops a thing where like, I hate humans, Dad, I hate you. But more that it's like, these things which are not actually thinking, they act intelligently, but they're not thinking, can have a huge, like, it'll have a really negative impact. It'll what is it? There's that example of like if you design something that is an AI system to make paper clips, it ends up consuming the entire planet making paper clips because that's what you told it to do.
Right. You never told it to make a sustainable amount of paper
clips.
clips.
Right. Exactly. So I'm more worried about that than I am of like Skynet, coming over and like, deciding that it's going to, drop all the bombs on us because it needs to get rid of us.
Well, let me ask you this, because you're this big coast to coast Art Belt fan.
Right.
How much of that UFO stuff do you pay attention to?
None.
None. Yeah, me
Zero.
too.
When people contact me on LinkedIn and their major credential is they do a UFO magazine or something like that, I don't add them.
I used to love that stuff. I used to think it was so interesting and intriguing until I started actually paying attention to it.
Yeah.
When I started interviewing some of the people that are involved in the movement, you find the same thing over and over again. This just wanton disregard for reality. This absolute desire to prove something instead of looking at the objective facts, proving that aliens are real, proving that we've been contacted, proving that these eyewitness testimonies are legitimate.
Let me try to get across a weird idea. Okay? Once upon a time in the 1940s, there were two guys, Konrad Lorenz and Nico Tinbergen, who got a Nobel Prize for inventing a field called ethology, which is a certain kind of observation of animal behavior. And Nico Tinbergen would go off to the coastal cliffs around northern Europe. And he would observe these seabirds. And the seabirds would go out, I don't know how many miles, 10, 30, 40 miles out to the ocean to feed and bring back food for their young. And then they would come back at the end of the day, and their nests, they'd have 200 nests next to each other, but the nests had very low walls. So when the seabird came back from her fishing and waddled herself into place, moving her hind back and forth to get in place to incubate her chicks, to warm the eggs, she'd often knock an egg out. And when the egg was knocked out of the nest, the bird would reach her beak out past the egg and then pull her beak back in toward her chest to pull the egg toward the nest, and she'd do it over and over again until she got the egg in the nest. And Nico Tinbergen had this weird idea, I wish I knew where it came from, that this is a reflex, like when your doctor takes a hammer and hammers your knee and your leg shoots out and you had nothing to do with it. He figured this is the same kind of a reflex. And he figured that if you have a reflex, you need a trigger for the reflex, like that patellar hammer that hammered your knee. So he looked to see if there was a trigger that triggered this yanking your beak back in order to scoop the egg back into the nest. And he tried building artificial eggs to see if he could find out what the cues were in the egg that were causing this reaction in the bird. And finally, he got a super egg, which means it was bigger than the normal egg, it was browner than the normal egg, and he'd put the real egg. Now, if you're the bird, that real egg has your genetic legacy. It's your genetic future. A lot is riding on that egg, a lot of you. And the phony egg. And the phony egg would attract the bird so strongly that she would ignore her own egg and yank, yank, yank with her beak until she pulled the phony egg into the nest. Oof. And they continued to do research with this kind of thing, and they discovered that they could trick some songbirds into taking a basketball into their nest. And then when the poor little birds tried to get on top of the basketball to incubate it, they would slide off and they'd be very frustrated and they would climb back on again and slide off again. It was cruel.
So the phony eggs like fake tits.
Those are things called supernormal stimuli. And the idea is that they bring these reflexive reactions.
Yes.
Well, underlying what Adolf Hitler was doing, underlying what I was doing, dancing on that stage, underlying what you do in front of an audience when you get incandescent and lose yourself and something else talks through you. All that is related to some supernormal pattern in us.
Yes.
So Hitler was basically saying the world is about to end and the kingdom of God is coming. Except the kingdom of God, in his case, was the world will be controlled by the master race, the blonde and blue-eyed Aryans, and all other people will be slave people or will be exterminated. But it was this golden paradise that he was inviting the Germans to, in which they ruled the world because they were born to rule the world. So,
and how did you describe the stimulation?
Supernormal stimulus.
So the supernormal stimulus of this artificial egg is like supernormal stimulus of this extreme behavior at the podium that attract people in.
And basically, Hitler was saying, was talking about the equivalent of extraterrestrials. He was talking about this magic quality of the Germans. He was talking about the shared soul of the Germans and how the people in Wagner operas and the gods of the old Germans had been in the souls of these people, and he was evoking the group soul, the Zeitgeist. In this case, it's the Volkgeist, the spirit of a people. And the flying saucer people are after an end of the world in which the world will be remade. And a guy named, well, there was a Jewish kid from a backward town, a really backward town, who only had been trained in manual skills. And he started preaching. And he preached that the world was, as we know, it was about to end, and we were about to enter a new kind of paradise. And because he was Jewish, he figured it's got to happen at Passover. Because at Passover, you put out a cup for Elijah, and Elijah's there to precede the Savior, the guy who will save the Jewish people. So he went up to the holiest city in Judaism, to Jerusalem, and he had a dinner, this Passover dinner, and they put out the cup, and that's when the kingdom of God was supposed to arrive. His prediction of a kingdom of God arriving at that particular Passover ceremony turned out to be utterly wrong. And in fact, the Romans seized him and nailed him to a cross. And he died. It was the opposite of everything he'd predicted. But the religion he'd put together was, and the religion really that Paul put together, because Paul was an international figure. You know, he was comfortable in the global world of the Roman Empire. But what Paul put together around Jesus was a supernormal stimulus. And it evoked a supernormal response, a supernormal reflex. And the flying saucer ideas that, you know, here we are on Earth, but there's this race that's above us that can save us, that's pushing at the same buttons. Hitler was pushing at the same buttons. The world, as we know, is about to end, and there's a new paradise, and the Germans will rule everything. So we are built to receive certain kind of stimuli. God knows how we got built that way. And when I went out in quest of the ecstatic of God, the gods inside of us, at the age of 13, I was looking for that supernormal, those supernormal responses in us, and for the supernormal stimuli that evoked them. And when you're doing art, when you're doing commentary, when you're doing comedy, you are hitting the buttons. You are creating supernormal stimuli. You are testing out jokes until they reach just the right shape. And you know what, you can feel in the audience what that shape is, and then you repeat that shape, knowing what its impact is going to be on the audience. I wrote a new book. It took me a long time to write all of my previous books, including How I Accidentally Started the 60s. And by the way, it isn't the same 1995 manuscript. I had 20 years of additional processing and was able to put a lot more meaning into the book. And hopefully it's still really funny. But I was able to write a book in 6 weeks. The first draft of 178,000 word book. And a normal book is 90,000 words. So this is almost twice the length of a normal book. And I was able to do it because I had told all the stories in the book. And I had felt out how the audiences responded to the stories. And I knew the words to use, and they were a well-worn path in my brain. So I simply put down on paper an oral vocabulary. But it's the audience who shapes you by giving you feedback. And eventually you perfect something so it's like Nico Tinbergen's super egg. I mean, Nico Tinbergen was eventually able to make eggs, super eggs, that had day glow on them, had polka dots on them, that were absurd, but they still had the ability, the way that flying saucer myths have the ability to evoke this sense that there is a paradise beyond the world that we know.
Don't you think when you think of supernormal stimulus that when you see, like a preacher on the pulpit that's screaming with confidence, when you see any of these things, like even when it comes to fake breasts, like you're seeing something like, you know what you want a woman to be good at bearing children, right? To have the right hip to waist ratio, that she's designed to breastfeed, she has large breasts.
Right.
Even though you know it's fake, it still hits whatever that genetic button is inside of your head.
Yep.
And the alien theme, the idea behind it, the archetype, is kind of like Space Daddy.
Right.
It's like, I know we're stupid, but just like this guy who's screaming on the pulpit has all the answers. Like, thank God someone has all the answers. Well, Space Daddy is for the atheists.
Right.
Space Daddy is for the people, you know what, I've listened to all these people down here. I think they're full of shit, but Space Daddy's going to help us out.
Yeah, well, that's the general idea.
Is that what it is?
Yes. And when you, as I said, when you fashion a joke, you're fashioning it to be a supernormal stimulus.
But Space Daddy might be real somewhere because we're dealing with
look
extraordinary
at the odds.
numbers.
Okay, as a science person, I have to tell you that there's only one place in which we've ever discovered any evidence of life, and it's down here on Earth. So I'm a skeptic about life being anywhere.
Right.
Now, changing to a different scientific perspective, there's this thing that I call super simultaneity, super synchrony. And when the universe starts as a rapidly expanding sheet of nothing but space and time. It's space, time, and speed. That's all it is. And when it precipitates in quarks, which is unlikely, how can space, time, and speed become particles, quarks?
Right.
The fact is that there are only something like 16 different forms of those quarks, and there are a gazillion of identical copies of each quark everywhere, and they all sprang into existence at the same time. Fast forward a couple of million years. Galaxies all are pretty much the same, and all of them spring into existence pretty much at the same time, at least the first generation of galaxies. Stars ignite within those galaxies, all following pretty much the same principles. They're all just big gravity balls. Gravity's gravity balls all the way. That's planets, that's moons, all kinds of things. So there is this tendency for the universe to do the same damn thing at pretty much the same damn time, pretty much same damned everywhere in this cosmos. And we do know that there are biomolecules, carbon-based molecules, being formed in interstellar cold gas clouds, interstellar hot gas clouds, all kinds of unlikely places in the cosmos. But those are very simple little molecules. Even though we call them biomolecules, it simply means they've got carbon. Life depends on molecules. In the case of your genome, if we took just one cell, you wouldn't miss it. You have 100 trillion others. So we took just one cell from your body, and we took out the genome, it's actually the genome. So we took out the genome, and we stretched it out because it's all tangled up in the cell. It would be 3 feet long. So there's a big distance between a tiny little molecule of ammonia in an interstellar cloud and that huge, very complex, highly ordered, 3-foot-long molecule or single molecule that's your genome. And we haven't learned very much at all about how you go from the simple molecules to that incredibly complex molecules. The origin of life is still one of the big puzzles. But again, because there's super synchrony and super simultaneity all over the cosmos, pretty much the same thing happens at pretty much the same time. the odds are that there are millions of other planets that have life. Those are the odds. But I set all that aside because we don't have evidence of any life, and we've been looking since, okay, I'll tell you a story. It seems to have nothing to do with anything. But once upon a time, a manager gave me an act to work with. It was Earth, Wind, and Fire. And so I read all their lyrics. I read everything about them. I studied them like a Talmudic scholar. I always did. And finally, I got to their album covers. And when I got together with the leader of the band, Maurice White, for lunch, because I hadn't yet learned to set up my boundaries and tell people I'll only work with you if I can see you in your own environment for between 1 and 3 days. That wasn't quite at that point yet. I sat with with Maurice and said, Maurice, if I've got you right, you believe that approximately 11,000 years ago, people from another civilization, someplace else in our galaxy or beyond our galaxy, came to this Earth and brought us all of our technologies and left the messages of their technologies in the pyramids. Have I got that right? And Maurice smiled and he said, yes. So I said, okay, there's this scientist from Cornell University. And he has just had a tremendous success with a science series on PBS. It's the most watched series PBS has ever had. And he's trying to put together an organization to find extraterrestrial intelligence. So if I introduce the two of you, would you be willing to do a benefit concert for him? Because right now he's struggling to get money together. And Maurice said yes. So we tracked down Carl Sagan's summer cottage telephone number, and I put together a conference call between Maurice White and, oh God, what's his name again? Billions and billions and billions of planets. Carl Sagan.
Yeah.
And as soon as Carl got wind of where Maurice was coming from, pseudoscience, the conversation was over because Carl was already gambling too much on ideas that could get him totally laughed out of science. So it was unfortunate, but that was the early 1980s, probably about 1980.
Didn't he want to just sit down with Maurice and sort of explain what we know so far?
No, he
what was
couldn't
Maurice's
afford.
stuff based on? Was Zechariah Sitchin
You know,
type
it's
stuff?
all kinds of. It's everywhere.
Right.
You can find it all over the place.
But did he have like a source?
Not that I asked him. No,
Just
I was
was
too
like,
busy
he
trying to
just
put this thing together. And it was unfortunate. Yes, it would have been neat if the two of them had been able to sit down and talk.
People believe weird shit. They definitely do. Like the people that really want to believe in Bigfoot, or the people that really want to believe in UFOs. Like UFOs are coming back right now. Everybody's talking about
stronger
UFOs.
than ever.
Bigger than ever.
Stronger than ever. That should tell you something.
Dave Foley's hooked. Dave Foley from News Radio. Remember Dave Foley? Hooked. We text each other almost exclusively about UFO evidence.
Dude.
You know me, dude.
I was the biggest.
What's this?
The New York Times a couple days ago.
Oh,
Dude.
wow. What is that? Navy pilots report unidentified flying objects. Here's the thing, though. We don't know what kind of shit the Chinese have figured out. We don't know what kind of shit the Russians have figured out. We assume that we know, but we didn't let them know about the stealth bomber or any of the crazy shit that they were building in Area 51. We didn't let them know.
Do you know me? I was balls deep into the UFO community, dude. The first tattoo I got is I got an alien on my left arm in Egyptian garb. I was into fucking ancient Egypt, the conspiracy side of the ancient Egypt. There's the mainstream Egyptology. I was into the look what Graham Hancock is saying, and UFOs. Balls
So fun.
deep.
That stuff's so fun.
There's so much proof in my head. There was so much proof that the government was trying to cover up. Look, why are they covering it up? Why are they covering it up? Look at all these guys. Pilots from the Air Force are saying they saw UFOs. Pilots from the Navy are saying they saw UFOs. Dudes from the Pentagon. It's got to be true. That's a CIA pilot. He's saying it. So when you're balls deep and you really want to believe it, you look at it that way. You're like, look, there's all these government officials saying they saw UFOs and they got their own UFO story, And then, you listen to Bill Cooper, and he was former Office of Naval Intelligence officer, and when you hear what he says, shit, he wrote that book, Behold the Pale White Horse. he
Yeah, but that guy said crazy shit. He said there's a base on the moon.
not that guy. That's you're
That's
talking.
Behold the Pale White Horse.
He said there's a base on the moon.
Yes.
No, he at first
Didn't he?
At first. No, you're talking about.
I don't know, but I think he did.
Lear. You're talking about that guy.
No.
Bob
That
Lazar's
guy's
friend.
That guy's crazy too, right?
Totally.
What does that guy say?
He says that there's millions of people on each planet, and every planet has millions of people.
Is he the guy that owns Skinwalker Ranch?
I don't know, but he was a part of his dad owned Lear Jet.
Right.
I forget what
That
his first
dude
name is.
seems like a super rich troll.
Totally.
When he says the crazy shit he says, I'm like, this guy's having a good time fucking with people.
Yeah, totally. But Bill Cooper says that because his job was to prepare notes, top secret notes, classified shit, for meetings with high level people in the military, and he was based on what he was reading. He was like, "Damn, UFOs are real. Look." I have proof. So at first he was like, for sure UFOs are real and for sure they're hiding them. That's what he was saying. He was preaching that. Then he learned later. They let him whistleblow. He never got busted for whistleblowing. That they want him. They wanted him to leak that UFO. That's what his conclusion was. He started to realize, wait a minute, they want me to leak this. And then he got to the point where he believes that all UFO abductions, he believed that everything was a product of the government. All UFO sightings, abductions, they're taking you in. He believes it's like the CIA doing that shit. Wow. And that's what he was really about before.
Well,
and then he got
ask you
killed.
this.
He got murdered, man. They went up to his ranch and fucked him up.
If they wanted to really fuck with you, this is what I think they would do. First of all, they would put acid on your shit. They'd put acid on your doorknob or something like that. Because there was a dude who found something. I forget what he found. Some old thing. And as he was opening it up, he just by touching it, it was like some old thing. It was dipped in acid, and he went on an acid trip for like 6 hours. So this is what they'd do. They'd dose you up. They'd somehow or another dose you up. Whether touching a doorknob. Did you find the guy?
It's
a real recent story.
It's a guy that was cleaning a board like this, a soundboard.
That's what it was.
He touched
That's
it.
what
and
it
he
was.
was like, telling his girlfriend, he's like, I think I'm fucking high.
Yes.
And they ended up testing, and it was.
That's exactly the story.
Yeah.
That's exactly the story. So they could do that to you and then sneak up on you with some special effects. Wear some fucking crazy mask and fucking flash you with lights, and you're so crazy high, you don't know what the fuck's going on. They grab you and put you on a desk and tell you you've been abducted by aliens from another planet. You don't think they fucked with people and did stuff
Dude,
like that?
they do for
I
a fact.
guarantee they
Have
did
you seen
that.
the documentary Abducted in Plain Sight?
No, I have not. Which one's that?
Dude,
What's that about?
That's exact. It's
Is that about UFOs?
Well, it's sort of this guy. He was married, had a couple kids. He was tight with the family who had 3 daughters. He was a predator, so he targeted the 12-year-old. And what he did is he fucked with the mom, fucked with the dad,
He had sex with the dad.
Sexual relations. And
Fuck the dad, not fuck with him.
The dad jerked him off.
Oh, Jesus.
They talk about this
That's
on
all
the
it
pod.
was? The guy just jerked him off?
The guy jerked him off. He convinced the guy to jerk him off.
How weird.
So he wanted blackmail on the parents,
Right.
So that once he took the daughter, they couldn't say shit.
And
'Cause
that's
now-
the blackmail because he jerked him off?
And he fucked with the mother too, and it was a secret. So of course that guy doesn't want none of that shit.
So
out,
he
right?
lets the guy take his kid?
He's gonna he has to take the daughter horseback riding. So, and they were like, okay. So he takes the daughter horseback riding, and what he does is he starts telling her that there's all these alien abductions going on, and we got to be careful for aliens. She's 12 years old. So he's setting her up. So what he does, he drugs her. She wakes up. She's strapped to a table. He's got a speaker with alien voices coming out, and the alien. And she wakes up. She doesn't know where she's at. She's like, "Oh my god!" And this alien voice says that she is responsible for saving the Earth. She has to marry that dude.
Oh my god!
She has to marry the dude. In the alien voice, you have to marry Bob, and you have to have this, but you can't tell nobody.
What kind
and
of
then,
drugs?
I don't know. And then she passes out again, and she wakes up, and she's not strapped. She's looking around the trailer, and she sees the guy. He's pretending he's all fucked up, and she's like waking him up, and he's like, has fake blood on him or whatever. And then he wakes up, and then she tells him, "We've been abducted by aliens, and I need to have your child."
Oh my God.
He tricked her.
Oh my
So from the
God.
age of 12 to 16, he owned her, dude. They end up catching him with the girl like a week later. FBI gets involved, and the girl can't tell anybody or everyone dies. So she's obsessed. Now she's back with her family. The guy's in jail for like a day because you know what he does? He has his lawyers send letters to the mother and father saying to make them sign like that it was consensual.
What?
He threatened to blackmail, so they signed it and let him out. They signed and they let him out. And then he goes to like the next state over. But that chick, she's 12, 13, 14, and she's obsessed with him. She has to save the world. So that's an example of, and then it turns out that I think the guy was CIA probably, and he knew those techniques. That's how they get people. They fill them up, say there's all these alien abductions, get them all scared, and then boom, when they do it, they believe it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that's just MK Ultra shit, dude. She got MK Ultra.
I guarantee they did that to people who are like political enemies.
Fuck
I guarantee
yeah.
you. Why wouldn't they do that?
It's easy.
Huh.
It's easy.
It just seems like something they would do too. Just seems like it makes sense.
And then Bill Cooper said that the mutilated cattle
Cattles?
thing that
Yeah.
people were saying, oh, UFOs are taking them because the organs were taken out so surgically that we don't have the But what Bill Cooper, he got balls deep into that. He started getting into breaking down what's really happening with UFOs. He's going, oh shit. The government is pretending to cover it up. They want to push it. They want people to believe in aliens.
So what do you think that the cattle mutilations were? You think they were testing weapons on these cattle?
Bill Cooper said it was really simple. All the cattle were found by military bases, and what they do is they're constantly checking radiation levels around bases constantly. So what they do is if there's cows, they'll routinely take a cow, take out its rectum, take out like certain organs surgically, and then they dump them just to scare people. Just let them. It'll kill two birds with one stone. They really needed to get some radiation tests, but it's always
100%
good.
makes
It's
sense.
always good to push UFOs. It's always good to scare people with aliens.
I wonder if those cattle abductions, if they coincided with areas where there was like some sort of toxic dump, you know, there's something like ammunition dump or something like that, like anything where some kind of like, do they have more of them around Nevada where they did all those nuclear tests?
I'm not sure, but the gist of what Bill Cooper said was
That
they
makes
were all
sense.
found near military bases, and he know like once he looked into it, he's like, oh, I know what they're doing. They're checking radiation levels, and they're scaring people at the same time.
That makes sense because it was surgically removed, right? Like people can do that. Like why would that eliminate the possibility that people could do it? Of course, people could do it.
But people are like, dude, only aliens could do that.
And then they take it and then they move it to another place so that the blood is not in the spot where they find the animal.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Dude, I'm a crazy.
That's how they catch poachers, you know? Do you know that?
How?
They catch poachers that way sometimes. They find out where the gut pile is. It's like, say if you didn't really have a tag to shoot a deer, and then you shot a deer in another place where you're not supposed to be, but you have a tag at a different place, because there's some places where it's easier to get tags, you just take the deer out of the forbidden place, take a picture of it or something like that, and then go back home. Well, they busted people because they, like, park rangers recognize certain mountain peaks. And they're like, no, you weren't there. I know exactly where you were when you killed this deer. You were at a different place. And then they go to that different place, and they look at the picture, and they try to coordinate, and then they find the gut pile, and then they convict people of poaching. That's happened before. They look at the photos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
So that's what Bill Cooper
that
believes.
makes sense that they would do that.
Yeah.
That they would because if you think you took that animal and killed it and cut it and left this big bloody pot and then put it in a truck and then dragged it 10 miles away and dropped it off there, people be like, this is crazy. There's no blood at the scene of the crime. All the blood's missing. It's been surgically removed. Like, no one can do this. This is impossible.
It's aliens.
There's literally no blood on the ground. Yeah, because they put it there, you fuck. You fuckwit. You think aliens came this far to fuck with cows? Imagine if we went all the way up to like Neptune to shoot gophers. We're just going to go up there and fuck up your gophers. go to your Neptune gophers, just jack them, cut their dicks off, throw them back.
That's funny, man.
That's exactly what they thought aliens did. That is hilarious. Cattle mutilations are fucking hilarious in that regard.
Yeah.
You know, it's gross too, though, that they did it so many times that it became a thing that people looked for. And then they let all these people who believe in aliens anyway, they let all these people just stew.
Because they're
in that
trying to scare us.
conspiracy.
They're trying to scare us with aliens for sure.
If aliens are real, I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm probably like 90% convinced. But if they are real, I leave in the room for bullshit. It's like, Jamie, get a picture of your shirt.
If they're
Show
real.
everybody the shirt you're wearing, why we're talking about that. It's a UFO. It says, can they see it? Believe that. That's a dope shirt. Exactly.
That's a saucer, if I've ever seen one.
I think if they're here, they're not going to let us. That's what I think.
Well, that's what.
I think they're going to swoop in and go, hey.
Well, that's.
Fuck.
I'm 25, right? I can't speak on anything, but just looking from past experience, and there's like drawings, like
Right.
even in the Mona Lisa, there's a weird thing or whatever in the
Yeah, it looks like a
background
flying
and shit.
saucer.
But there's a spike.
Mm-hmm.
It's a spike in like because it's getting pretty weird here.
The spike, they think, it's hard to tell because sometimes when people talk about UFOs, a bunch of other people hallucinate or lie. Like there's a lot of that.
Right.
So every time there's a real legit UFO,
Right.
you get a bunch of nut cases who just want to tell crazy shit
Right.
about being taken
And
aboard
I've seen one.
spaceships.
I mean,
you've seen
I
a
never.
UFO?
Yeah.
What'd you see? What'd it look like?
I was probably 16. I was in upstate New York, and it would just stay there. So let me precursor this. My aunt and uncle were very strict, and we had to go to bed at a very strict deadline, probably 10 p.m. And I was looking out the window with my cousin, and it's just a light that just stays there and then just fucking goes off. I mean, it just, whew, you can't explain it.
Well, if you're 17 at the time?
16.
16? How strong is this memory when you're like looking at it, when you're trying to remember it?
Medium.
Medium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
I
for
mean, there's
sure-
something there.
For sure something took off and did something that didn't make sense to you?
For sure. And then in Utah, I mean, there's shit happens all the time. I mean, even here in LA, I can't tell you how many times, because I used to live in Tarzana. So there was like a balcony here, and it looked kind of like, it sounds corny, but like a classic like force field. Whenever you think of a force field, and it just kind of goes like this, and it's kind of like a dome in a circular shape. And it just goes like this and goes back in.
Whoa.
In Tarzana. Looking down at the fucking city. And I'm like, how did no one else see this?
They might have.
But I was there with like fucking 4 other people, and they saw it too.
The thing about unique events is if a unique event happens and it never happens again, it's hard to remember. It's hard to be sure what you saw. It's hard. But if aliens are visiting us, like how often are they doing it? Like unique events would probably be what it would be.
Right.
It'd be like occasionally,
Right.
once every 6 months, someone sees one
Yeah.
somewhere. But they're here all the time. They probably just know how to evade detection. I mean, it just, if something can travel here from another planet, it's going to be able to know
Yeah.
when they're being watched and when they're not being watched. That's
But
not going to be hard.
That's why you gotta wonder if it's like intentional.
I think there's enough talk about it now that we're probably going to find out what it is in our lifetime. I never would think that before. I think the government withheld information for whatever reason. Maybe they think people are scared. Maybe they think it's a threat to the national security, to have a bunch of people worried that aliens are flying around us all the
Sure.
time. There's nothing we can do about it. Maybe they had a conversation and they thought maybe it'd be better to keep people in the quiet or keep them in the dark so that they don't freak out, because there's nothing we can do about it anyway. If we just tell them that there's aliens that are visiting us all the time,
Right.
that's not going to be good. They're not going to pay attention to taxes and mortgage rates and the stock market.
You know,
They're going to
they
be
care
like,
about
holy fuck.
uranium and
there's
shit like
aliens.
that.
They're around us all the time.
Yeah.
People are going to freak out. So I think like little drops of like this, the recent one they said, where they
Yeah, what did the Pentagon just say?
yeah,
Literally
they-
like
they
2
said
fucking days ago.
They've recovered crafts that are not from this world, not made on Earth.
Not made on Earth.
Yeah, not made on Earth.
Yeah.
They're basically saying we don't know what the fuck it is, but we didn't make it. That's bananas. And I think that's going to lead to more and more information coming out about it, where we're going to try to get a sense of understanding, like how long have they known this? You know, how much of like all that Roswell, New Mexico shit was
Right.
true. Like, tell
Right.
us what was going on.
And backtracking, you got to wonder if, like, oh, we've been hiding this the whole time,
Yeah.
or this is the first time for real that we don't know.
This is what I like to think. I like to think that the people that are in charge at the Pentagon are patriots, and they realize it's probably better, especially when you're dealing with the United States. It's in this kind of turmoil that they're in right now. It's crazy, between racial turmoil and turmoil with the police and turmoil with people protesting in cities and blocking traffic. There's so much crazy turmoil. They'd be like, no one's even going to notice now. Just say it now. Just say, yeah, we got UFOs. Like, everything is so crazy. The news cycle of any crazy story
Right.
like this is only a few days, and then people forget.
Well, or it's just people already know, and it's just normalization. And you think about movies as just normalizing you to the idea that I can't even, like, the Canadian, don't quote me on this, but a Canadian, someone in office was like, there's like 7 species of aliens in the U.S. government.
It would be crazy if it was true.
That's,
You know, Tommy Lee Jones and Will
do
Smith
y'all
were
remember
right
that?
all along.
Yeah, check that out. Please fact check that
Is
for
he
me.
a loony person, though?
I have no idea.
See, people can get elected and still be crazy. That's a problem.
For certain.
That's a problem. You know, just because, like, when you hear about someone having like a really high profile job and they say something crazy, it doesn't mean they're not crazy. Just because they're the prime minister of some
Right.
fucking country, they could be out of their mind.
What do we got?
It would
Something
kinda
close to that. How close? Where is
Canada's
that?
former defense minister claims that aliens are real. Apparently, there's a humanoid-esque race of aliens called the Tall Whites living among us. Huh. It's Adam
What
Curry.
publication is
It's Adam
this?
Curry.
Is this Vice?
Adam
There's on
Curry's
Vice,
alien.
there's a few other places. When
Well,
he
There's a few.
he
So
did-
it's like a real deal.
definitely said it seems like.
Come on.
That's crazy shit.
Yeah, that is crazy shit. The thing is that guy nuts? Like, what else does he believe in? You know, how does he feel about ghosts, right? When you think about like an alien sighting, like if you saw an alien and then you never saw one again for the rest of your life,
Right.
it would fuck with your memory, even if the alien was real. If a saucer
Right.
emerged in front of you and then took off, that's the same thing with a ghost. Like if you saw a fucking ghost, if you walked into your basement to go get a screw for something, and you turned
Right.
and you saw an apparition of a woman
Right.
who's like staring you down. Did
Right.
you ever see that Guillermo del Toro movie about the lady who's a ghost who adopts kids?
No.
Dude, it's a dark movie. What is it called? Mother? What is it called? It's fucking creepy.
Is it?
It's creepy.
Do you like horror movies?
I love them.
Me too.
I love
I'm a
'em.
dirty little bitch. I love horror movies.
I think it's called Mama.
Mama, yes, that's it.
Oh,
It's-
is that?
Bro,
is-
it's so
that's not with
creepy.
2 Swedish kids, right?
I don't.
Does she
remember.
have two-
This is it. This
two
is it.
sons?
Did you see this?
No.
She has 2 kids.
No, I haven't seen that.
Well, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give the story away, but it's crazy. She finds these kids in the woods and raises them, and she's a ghost, and it's a
Sure.
fucking terrifying movie.
She's a ghost. Wait,
yes. And so
is that a
people
spoiler?
adopt the kids. They find the kids. I can't tell you anymore. I can't tell you
Spoiler
anymore.
alert.
I can't tell you anymore. No, you know she's a ghost from the very beginning of the movie.
Okay, good. Yeah, this
I
is
can't-
terrifying.
Dude, it's fucking horrifying. It's a terrifying movie.
Well, you get the best of both worlds, right? You get a creepy, like, mom style, and then you get
Yes.
creepy kids, which
You
are
get
like
both.
the
You get a
double
kid.
terrifying.
I
What's
can't
the
say-
movie
I
I'm
can't say
thinking
anymore
of?
without spoiler alert in it.
I think it might be called, so it's 2 kids. It might be Swedish or like Norwegian or something.
Is it the
And-
vampire movie?
No,
There's
but
there's a vampire movie, a foreign vampire movie. Is it Let the Right One In? I think it is, or is that the American version of it?
Let the Right One In is a scary movie.
That's a scary movie, right?
Yeah.
That's a vampire movie about vampire kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the thing about a ghost is if you saw one and if they're just real every now and then, you saw one and it was right in front of you, you're in the woods,
Right.
you're going to walk your dog and you see some old man with no legs floating in front of you.
That's the one.
Good night, mommy.
Yeah.
Oh, good night, mommy. What's this one about?
Same. I don't know.
Same kind of deal? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Save that for later.
Did you see something good?
Yeah.
I missed it.
Some scary lady in the corner.
Check that motherfucker out. That's a good one.
I'm scared.
But you see him in the woods.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, yeah. If you saw some apparition in the woods and then you never saw it again for the rest of your life, it doesn't mean it wasn't real.
Right.
It just means it's really rare that happens. Like, that's a thing about a unique event. Like, imagine if you're an ant your whole fucking life.
Right.
All you've ever known is this anthill. Everybody's chilling, working every day, chopping up leaves, going out and getting popcorn or whatever shit it finds. And then one day, some person comes along, like Post Malone, just stomps the fuck out of that anthill.
Sure.
Till that moment, all that thing has ever known was that anthill. Never even knew that it was possible for something to, because it's been alive for a couple of weeks. And during that couple of weeks, no one's ever stomped on the anthill. But then it happens. And then you realize that there's no pattern to these things. Anything can happen. Like, if you're a person, aliens can land. They can land on the White House lawn tomorrow and take over the world. And there's nothing we can do about it. Like, that could be our new normal. Okay, fuck masks. The new normal is there's alien spaceships that hover over every city and they tell you what to do. And you have to work for them now. Forever.
To the ant argument, we're smarter than ants.
Yes, we are. But we're, in comparison, probably dumber than aliens are. Like, we're dumber in comparison to aliens than ants are to people.
Well, that's why. You like all
That's a
these
guess.
celestial sightings. Yeah, I mean, this is all spitballing here.
But it could be possible, right?
Celestial sightings documented throughout history.
Throughout history.
Hey, I just made a fire. This is dope, right? Fire's cool. But what the fuck is that? That has to be God. Like, man has always looked up for answers.
It's true.
And so that's why it's a scary thing. Because do they want to hurt us, or did we come from them?
I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible that we're a product of genetic manipulation. I don't know if we are. I know we're definitely primates.
We're just playthings, maybe.
We just look so different than every other monkey. All the other monkeys are covered in hair. This is this weird semi-hairless monkey. You know, who knows how to use electronics? Who knows how to send video through the sky?
You know the Anunnaki?
Yes.
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 If Lou was here, I got a great friend, Lou. Shout out to Lou. He would talk your ear off about this whole deal.
About this to an actual archaeologist yesterday.
Or the Nephilim.
Bradley Garrett. Yeah, the Nephilim or the Anunnaki from planet Nibiru. All that Zachariah Sitchin stuff. You ever read those books?
No, sir.
The books are weird, man. You know what's weird? Like, there's stuff that he was saying in, like, I believe it was like the 1970s, where he was deciphering these texts. And one of the things that he said is, this is the craziest one of all. Humans were genetically engineered from lower primates, and they were used to harvest gold. And that the Anunnaki needed gold because gold is very plentiful here,
right,
and very hard to find, very rare on their planet.
Right.
And they engineered humans to mine. That's why people love gold so much.
Right.
If you think about, like, the usefulness of gold.
Right.
Gold isn't even remotely, unless you're making electronics, like, gold's not the best metal. Like, why is it so valuable? Because it's pretty? Well, it's not even the prettiest shit. Like, rubies are prettier than gold. Emeralds are prettier than gold. Why is gold so goddamn expensive?
But where does diamonds fit in?
It's a good question. Probably just someone tricked a chick into thinking it was a good move.
I was reading about, like, yeah, that's what it's like. One movie, she had a diamond, and then popped off.
Let me finish what I'm saying, because this is where it gets weird. They said that they needed it to hang in their atmosphere to protect them from the sun, because they were losing their atmosphere. Well, we're losing our atmosphere, and one of the things that scientists have suggested is hanging reflective particles above the Earth, like putting them in orbit. Like a reflective dust in orbit, so that it would mute out some of the effects of the sun. So what they suggested, what he was saying in 1978, is what they suggested in, like, 2018.
Right.
So when they're talking about how to fix some of the global warming issues, they were literally saying some of the stuff that was in this book that he was reading, he's deciphering these ancient Sumerian texts from 6,000 years ago.
No shit.
Yeah, I don't know. If,
I was about
I don't
to
know
ask,
if his interpretations
where
are
did
right,
he
though.
get it from?
He is just a guy who's a linguist who studies these ancient languages
Sure.
and reinterprets them, but it's very highly in dispute. That's the problem. Like you or I, we're not going to figure it out. We're not going to know who's right. It's
Right.
too complicated.
Right.
But there's a website called sitchiniswrong.com, and if you go there, it refutes all of his. I don't know who's right or who's wrong, but it's interesting to see the argument. But again, whatever the fuck was going on back then, 6,000 years ago,
Right.
whatever was going on, they were writing about some wacky shit.
Right,
man.
right.
They were.
And is that the
Yeah.
shrooms or is that
Is it contact?
real? Yeah.
It's not impossible. We could have easily been contacted by some other life form that's similar to us, but that's a million years advanced. We
Right.
could have been contacted all throughout history.
Right.
Yeah. Up until 1860, whatever the fuck it was, all you would have is a drawing and a story.
Well,
Imagine that.
How famous people? Who the fuck knows? But now, if you look at the last 200 years, it has accelerated like a motherfucker. And there's so much, like 200 years ago, people would look at the Bronco or anything like that and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What is that?
It happened so quick.
It's happening so quick right now. I mean, that SpaceX thing, they've already figured out how to get something to fly into the sky and then bring it back and land it.
It's insane.
Yeah. We are in a weird fucking time. And if the aliens come right now, it's probably the best time to come. We're going to be the most relaxed about it. No one's been able to work for 6 months.
I
Right?
feel like everybody's,
People are scared to shake hands.
what are you going to do?
Everyone's terrified.
Are you going to say hi? Or are you
To the
gonna,
aliens?
Are you going to grab your bow?
Oh, I'm going to say hi for sure. I'm not stupid. They could come here for I'm not kicking anybody's ass. Yeah, I'm not even interested in kicking someone's ass from another dimension. I just want to say hi. Tell me what's up.
Tell me what's actually
I
good.
want to have an alien on the podcast. Can you imagine?
I could call
Imagine have
Tyler
some
up.
3 foot tall, 40-pound dude with a giant bulbous head and like antenna-like fingers, and he's explaining how they traverse space
No
and time
shit.
instantaneously.
No.
Can you imagine? They're making sounds, and you interpret those sounds no matter what language you're in all over the world. You instantaneously interpret
Well,
what
it'd be
they're
through
saying.
your brain. You wouldn't be able to hear them.
Yeah, they would do it through a podcast. They'd be able to
would do it
engineer
through-
the sounds they make.
They
And
would
we'd have
do
to
it
realize,
through-
what is this sound, and
Through
why do I
Shure
understand what he's saying?
SM78s.
They would hit you with some sound that's so complex you would understand exactly what they're saying,
Yeah.
even though you don't know the language. And everybody would be like, what in the fuck is going on? Oh my God, there's an alien on the JRE. And that's what it would be. Me talking to some alien.
They better give you some more goddamn money.
I think that's the least of our problems when the aliens come. That shit is going to be wiped
Well,
off.
that's when we need gold.
Yeah, we're going to be gold miners again, folks. We're going to look for some sturdy person with a wide back. That's what's going to be
look good.
valuable. Thank you. But I mean, good enough to mine gold? I don't know. You imagine if that's life in the future? They come down, they go, you got 2 choices. One, we eat you. 2, you mine gold for us.
Are they eating
Stay
humans?
alive. Why not? Why wouldn't they eat us? They'd be like, listen, you guys are just protein. You're assholes.
They probably eat clouds.
Yeah.
Or like energy. They probably just eat energy.
Yeah, maybe they just exist in some sort of
Dude, they're probably
redundant
not even
system.
fucking material.
Probably.
They're probably just fucking ethereal.
Well, maybe they figured out a way to make life. So maybe they figured out a way how to make life where you can transfer your consciousness in some eternal mechanical thing. Kyle Kalinske sent me something today. I wanted you to see, Jamie. It's something. There's some shit going down with UFO sightings.
Oh yeah,
I guess
yeah.
those videos we've played before.
Well, yeah,
I don't
but
know that they were new. but
here
they're
I'll
on-
send it to you.
I've been following this stuff.
Yeah, it's hold on a second, Jamie.
this thing.
All right, I just texted it to you. Pentagon officially releases UFO. This is the tweet. It says, new Pentagon formally released 3 mysterious UFO videos captured by Navy pilots. The already leaked video showed what DoD insists on calling unidentified aerial phenomenon, moving at incredible speeds and performing near impossible maneuvers. This is a weird subject because it's one of those subjects where people automatically dismiss it because it's been so touted by kooks. There's so many wacky fucks that have talked about UFOs that anybody talking about UFOs has to be out of their fucking mind. But then when you see these videos and you see them performing these impossible tasks, like these things are moving in a way that we've never seen anything move before, flipping upside down and sideways, moving at insane rates of speed. Like, they don't know what these are.
Yeah.
Aerial phenomena.
What's interesting, though, is I was reading one of these stories, and they passively mentioned that the sighting was near a U.S. naval technology station of some sort, like a top secret development. And I'm like,
that could be one of two things: either it's developed by the people that are at that base, or they're monitoring the people that are at that base. These aircraft, we call them aircraft, are displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory nor any foreign inventory that we are aware of. Maybe they see this shit that's going down with China and all the ships being moved and like, listen, you fuckheads.
the aliens?
Yeah. Maybe they're like, listen, you fucking morons, you territorial apes.
I'd like to think that, but
You don't think so?
Manhattan Project, man. I mean, the U.S. has probably got some crazy motherfucking weapons. You know?
Could be, but the Manhattan Project was also coincidentally right after they started detonating bombs when the aliens started showing up.
That's what they think, right?
Yeah, well, that was when the bulk of U.S. sightings started jumping, and worldwide, I believe, too.
You know, maybe we've slowly been getting more and more information about this. I've been actually reading a lot of these stories over the past several months. More admissions from government, more release of documents, and more sightings. So there's been a big, I don't want to call it, well, a lot of people murmuring that April was going to be the month when we finally learn the truth. April's almost up.
It's almost up.
It's almost up.
We got like a few days.
Nah, man.
The 27th?
You know what I used?
More days is left.
Do you know?
30? 30?
Do you know about what happened? Do you know about the O'Hare Airport sighting?
Which one's that?
So this was, I think, in like 06 at Chicago's International O'Hare. A UFO came down and hovered above. I can't remember which terminal it was. It hovered for a few minutes, I think, and then shot straight up, punched a hole in the clouds. Everybody saw it happen. Now, I had just quit working at O'Hare around this time when the sighting happened, so I had friends who were still there. I had a friend tell me that when this UFO came down, people on Mannheim Road, which is the road on the side of O'Hare, got out of their cars, like just stopped the light, got up, and were looking and staring at it. And that the people who were working, where we worked for American Eagle Airlines, walked out of the rooms and were just staring at it float and then shoot up and punch a hole in the clouds. And you know what they said? Weather phenomenon. So there's a photo of it. A pilot took a photo of it. This is back when like very early phone cameras, so it's a very grainy, awful picture.
There it is right there.
That's not it. No, that's super fake. I think. No, these are all people trying to fake it. It's really hard to find. That one is not. That one might be it, but I don't think so. It barely looks like
Chicago
anything.
O'Hare UFO sighting 2006. Is that it right there?
I do not believe those are it. No. So
click on that article. See what it says, Jamie.
That's just some blog.
That one might be on the left, but so many people try exploiting this stuff for clicks and for views, and they make these fake photos. And
that link's not working?
I've clicked on it a few times.
It was a very, very faint photo from the cockpit. It might be that one right there in the middle. On the left side.
Far left.
It might be that one. No, that's not it. That's not it. Well, there was a really crappy photo of it, and
that might be it.
That might be. It was out of the cockpit of a window. A pilot took a photo, and I wonder where have all the sightings gone since phones became ubiquitous. I mean, there's a simple, I guess excuse. The aliens, they're sentient. They know we have phones. They're like, okay, stop, decloaking or whatever. But I wonder if, why is it there were so many UFOs and then around the time cell phone cameras come out, they're gone?
Well, I think most people are full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think most people like to pretend they see things that don't really see things. But I don't think that excludes the possibility. It's not like it's not like these things are mutually exclusive. Like people are full of shit, therefore aliens don't exist. I think aliens could be real and people are full of shit. And I think that it's very rare that they visit us. But if they
Why
do,
would they?
well, how often do scientists go to the Congo to study chimps? I mean, how many people do they send to the bottom of the ocean to look for new life forms? How rare is it?
Let me trip you out
Okay.
on that idea. We put decoys up for animals. Animals can't tell the difference. What if you've actually met a decoy person and you couldn't tell the difference?
Maybe it's you, bro.
Maybe it's me. That's right.
And that's why you're able to work so much.
Oh, yeah, I'm a robot.
You don't get tired.
No.
So you're interested in news and disseminating factual evidence.
Because what I'm actually doing is collecting a database for the aliens. No, but I thought about this because I saw a photo on Reddit of a puffin, I think it's called, the bird, and they put up a fake puffin, and it's because I think they're called puffins. It's because the birds don't like nesting in places where they're alone, and so by putting the decoy there, the other birds would start coming, and like one bird showed up and was hanging out with the decoy, and I'm like, could you imagine like you see like we put duck decoys in the water, we do duck calls, and the duck's like, ooh, hey, fly honey, I'm gonna come over and check this out, and it's like a wood block. Could you imagine like seeing like a beautiful woman or someone you're attracted to and being like, "Ooh, look at that!" And it's really like an alien decoy just to like probe you and like better understand you or something?
Well, the decoy, just the term decoy is weird because decoys are used for hunting. Like turkey, it's turkey season right now.
Yeah.
And the way most guys hunt for turkeys, they take a rubber turkey. You put that fucker out in the middle of the field, and then you hide behind a bush with a shotgun. You go, bark, 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 bark. And then the turkeys like hear it, and they come over and they try to get some pussy, and then they get shot.
So what if you see some dude and or it's like you see it for you, it'd probably be a beautiful woman. You want to get that pussy, and and then she's going like, hey, come over here, and you're like, oh, hey, me, and
then I get eaten.
No, they just take you up in the ship, probe you, and learn about your butt.
This is the thing about putting things up your butt.
I'm
Most
just kidding,
doctors don't even do that. Like they have MRIs now. Don't aliens need to probe you in your ass? I think it's just what everyone's afraid of. They're afraid of things going in their ass. So that's what they think is going to happen if the aliens get them. They're going to freeze me and touch my ass.
Somebody told a dumb story back in the day, and it was the most sensational version. Everybody had to have it, so they were like, that's what they went with.
Maybe they do that to keep your mouth shut. They fuck you in the ass just so you keep your mouth shut.
Or some dude actually got abducted, right?
Yeah.
And he comes back and he's like, they think they won against me. They think they beat me. They put stuff up my butt. They're weirdos.
Do you ever hear the story of Betty and Barney Hill?
No.
It's the very first UFO abduction story. It's an ancient story. And what's crazy is Angela Hill, who's a UFC fighter, I had her on the podcast. And after the show, she told me her grandpa was Barney Hill.
Whoa.
And I was like, holy fuck. Like we didn't talk about it during the show, but she wanted to bring it up because she knows I'm kind of obsessed with UFOs. But the account that they have, like they get hypnotized and he's recalling the abduction and they have like the same story. It's very terrifying. You hear him crying and screaming and, that he was taken aboard this craft and examined and brought back and they have missing time. But here's the thing. If they only did that occasionally, they only came down once every few years and just scooped some person up in the middle of some rural place. Like if you're flying over, I think their instance was I believe it was in Maine. If you're flying over somewhere like Maine, which is a very low population state, and you see a lone car and it's just traveling along the highway, and there's places in Maine where you go from like Portland to Bangor. When you're traveling on that road, it's like 60 miles with nothing, not a gas station, nothing. If you were an alien and you saw a car by itself, you're like, no other car, let's move in, we got one.
Isn't it just easier to think it's the U.S. government?
No.
Why not?
Because we don't have the capability of doing something like that. I don't think the capability of the scientists working for the government is any different than the capability of the scientists that are working for Project X or, fill in the blanks in terms of like what Raytheon, publicly traded companies. How
long? Look, quadcopters don't seem all that complicated to me. Right?
Quadcopters.
Yeah. Like
helicopters?
Like drones. We've seen the little drone toys you buy. They got 4 propellers. Take that concept, use thinner, jets and surround it in a disc so that it's, universally like it can move in any direction because it's got, because it's omnidirectional. What
power source? Where's the gas tank?
Lithium-ion battery. Or
come on, man. You're talking space shit. Like this hasn't even been invented yet. Think about how little mileage you can get out of a Tesla. As advanced as Tesla is, still when it's going full out, it can only go for. I mean, you get 307 miles if you drive like a grandma, But if you drive like a maniac, you don't even get half that.
You know that they, I could be wrong with this, but I'm pretty sure that they had this flying platform in the 70s that uses gas power. And they've also had jetpacks for a long time.
No, they've had, sort of. They've had jetpacks that are capable of going for like 30 seconds. They don't, I've experienced
No,
these.
I'm pretty sure the jetpacks back in the day went for a long time.
No, they definitely didn't.
We can look it up.
Yeah, let's look it up because they definitely didn't. The whole thing was the fact they were burning gas. And to propel you in the air, they only had a certain amount.
I thought it was like 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes.
Maybe now.
My understanding of why we abandoned jetpack technology was that it was inefficient and heavy, and you couldn't carry it without it being turned on. So they opted for larger, what are they called? Chinooks, helicopters that can carry multiple people at once. When you're wearing a jetpack, it has to be on idle, negating its own weight, which means it's burning as you're walking around, which means you get a good 20-minute jump, and you got to abandon the tech. And then you don't want your enemies to get it.
Have you ever seen a guy fly a jetpack?
Yeah, there's a video on YouTube.
No,
from a long
I mean
time
in
ago.
real life.
Oh, I've seen that one guy, the Iron Man dude.
Well,
Not in real life.
I've been there in real life. My friend Willie B from in Denver on the radio.
Yeah.
He had a radio show in the morning. I used to do his radio show. I think he still has a radio show. Shout out to Willie. And he had this guy who was a jetpack pilot who came in and in the parking lot of the radio studio, and fans of the radio show came and did it too and watched it rather. And this guy flew in the air for about 15, 20 seconds and then landed. This guy was so banged up. Both of his legs were blown apart. He had big braces on both of his knees. I'm like, what happened to your knees? He's like, just crash landing. Both my knees are blown to shit. He had no ACLs in either one of his knees. But
well, that's what I'm saying.
It's
Jetpacks.
good this is back then. It was good for about 30 seconds. 30 seconds of flying.
Well, so the point I was trying to get to is if you take something like a quadcopter, you could absolutely fuel it with gas or
It'd be
whatever.
loud as fuck.
But it would depending on how you mitigate
It'd be
the
an
noise.
engine. It'd be an engine.
Yeah.
It'd be loud as fuck.
And you'd hear from the quad rotors.
Yeah, but what these people are describing is nothing like that. These people are describing things that are silent, that go from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour in a split second, things that defy physics as we understand them.
Yeah.
This is not something that I think that the U.S. government has. If you look at like Elon Musk company, Project X or SpaceX. SpaceX is right now one of the premier civilian companies, private companies that's making rocket ships. They fuck up all the time.
Totally.
They're in the middle of innovating all the time. He's one of the smartest people on earth. He's one of in terms of technology, he knows as much about propulsion as anyone, and they still can't get it right. They're still trying to figure it out. They're trying to come up with something that could be viable in terms of commercial space flight, and they're working on it daily. And these people are the brightest minds we know of right now that are in this jet propulsion space travel business. There's, Virgin's working on something. There's a couple other companies that are working on things as well. And then you have NASA, which worked. The best they could come up with was the space shuttle.
Right.
Do you think that there was something way better than space shuttle that they just never used and that they had and they kept it on the back burner, didn't want to let anybody know, but the way they would use it is they would pick people up and erase their memory and toy with their asshole? That's crazy.
Well,
that's less likely than the hundreds of billions of galaxies just in our own known universe, right? Each one with hundreds of billions of stars. Each star with who knows how many fucking planets. That's somewhere out there that's something more advanced than us. Maybe 1,000 years, maybe 1,000,000 years. But that's figured out how to come here.
I got the same question then. Why hasn't anyone discovered them? Why has SETI failed? Search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Why haven't the chimps invented guns?
They've started using more tools, but
right. Why haven't they invented guns though?
I don't know.
So why hasn't SETI found UFOs? It's the same fucking answer. They're not advanced enough yet. It's a real simple answer. The industrial age is pretty fucking recent.
Right.
I mean, you think about when people invented cars. You're talking about 1800. That's really recent.
And we've
plane
only used
flights 1800s.
High power radio transmission is only in the past 100 years or so.
Right. Well, you ever seen the movie Contact?
Maybe. That's an old one, right?
It's Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. It's based on Carl Sagan's book about contact with space and with aliens, how it's going to go down.
I think I did see it recently. I can't remember.
Interesting take on it. But
the
idea is that they've received the signal that we sent out way, way back, in the day, actually when the The first broadcast signal was Hitler announcing the Olympic Games, the start of the Berlin Games, and that this was the first signal they got. It was a really controversial moment in the movie, or controversy, in the plot, with that once they were trying to decipher the image that was being sent, they realized it was Hitler.
Yeah.
The first thing they see is a swastika, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
They sent it back to us,
and then they had to realize, "Oh no! This is the first image that we sent out to space." They wouldn't be able to understand the political or historical context of this, and
well, so I got a few. There's a few issues I see in terms of aliens and Earth contact. Right, we are substantially more connected, in an evolutionary chain to ants than we are to any alien. So we can't communicate with them. For the most part, we kind of can. We understand how they communicate. But when an ant sees a superhighway, this is someone else's quote, they don't think twice. So it's possible there are aliens that have superhighways right above us. We can't tell what it is. Same as a dog doesn't understand other than stay away from it. But one of the issues I think is often neglected in the conversation about aliens is we assume aliens would be on a very similar planet to us. We assume that they would have some kind of gaseous atmosphere. Perhaps it's a liquid atmosphere. And one of the things that I would ask of a researcher, because I'm not the expert, is the fact that we have the proper balance of oxygen in the atmosphere to manipulate fire, which allows us to separate elements and then create computers and components and fuels, wouldn't exist on a planet without the same atmosphere we existed in.
Stop. I can answer that really easily.
Yeah.
There's no known propulsion system for any of these crafts. These things are not using fire. They don't have a heat signal. They don't know what they are. They don't know how they work.
I don't mean propulsion. I mean the separation of elements, the manipulation of elements, right? So we melt things and separate them and break them down.
They don't believe that that's how it works.
No, but I mean, like, how do you even start from? I'm sure there's an answer. Let's say you have a species that lives on a planet with no oxygen and has no access to fire. What energy, what dense energy source do they have that will allow them to manipulate matter?
Do you know the Bob Lazar story?
I do.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that he talked about when he first stopped working for Area S4 and the government was tapping his phones, and there's a lot that can be documented about him. There's a lot that can't be. But one of the things that he talked about was a thing called element 115.
Right. That
element 115 is this insanely dense element that they use to bend gravity. And that the way he described the way the propulsion system works, it's like putting a bowling ball in the center of a very soft mattress, and that all of the other mattress, all the rest of the mass of the mattress bends around the intense mass of the bowling ball, and that this is how these incredibly advanced aliens from this other planet use. This is their propulsion system.
That was
they use this.
from Star Trek, though. The concept of warp was around for a really long time.
I think the concept is based on Einstein's theory of gravity. I mean, this is the whole idea. If you could find something that could do that. But here's the thing. When Bob Lazar talked about this in the late 80s, early 90s, this element didn't exist.
Right. Now it does.
It wasn't proven until they did it in a particle collider. I believe it was 2013. So he was talking about this element far before it was, and he's apparently, this is the big rumor, he apparently had taken some of that from a lab and through George Norrie, and was it George Norrie? Yes. They did some experiments on on television and showed that this stuff had made light and fog bend in a way that they couldn't describe.
He also didn't he also claim to see a small alien creature on his way out?
He said he saw something that was sitting down, but he doesn't know if it was a model that they were using, like if they had created something that was supposed to be the size of a thing that could fit in these crafts, because these crafts, he said, were designed for things that were far smaller than human beings.
I'm pretty sure in the initial interview he gave when he went public was that he saw an alien, and then later on changed it saying, I don't know if it was maybe a model or a puppet.
Yeah, he said he thought he saw something sitting down and two people standing over it looking at it. He said he thought he saw an alien. But he's probably... I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, he said it was literally for like a half a second. Like he's walking by a window and he sees something inside of it. Imagine being a guy who's in your 20s and you're a propulsions expert, and it's been proven that he worked at Los Alamos Labs, and it's been proven that he did put a fucking jet engine. It's been proven that he did put a jet engine on a Honda. I mean, he's a genius. And you talk to him, he's an incredibly smart guy. Now imagine you get sent off to Area S4, and they show you this thing that you know doesn't even exist, and they tell you about this propulsion method that they don't understand, and they say that they found this a long time ago in an archaeological dig, and they want you to back engineer it because you're a propulsions expert, and they're running out of options. They've been studying this for decades. No one knows what the fuck it is or how you can make it work. And then they do test flights with this thing, and then he tells his friends about these test flights. After he gets fired, you know how he got fired? Do you know a story about him getting fired?
He leaked it or something. Yeah?
No. His wife was fucking her flight instructor.
Oh.
And so when his wife was fucking her flight instructor, they told him he couldn't work anymore. And he's like, why not? Well, they were tapping his phone because when you have top secret clearance to work on UFOs, I guess they don't want your wife fucking her flight instructor because then you're going to go crazy, and you have a lot of imbalance at home, right? So he doesn't know why. They don't tell him why. So he takes his friends and he tells them, listen, this is real. They're running these experiments. I know you're thinking I'm crazy. This is what I've been working on. So he takes them to this area where you used to be able to have access to, but once he did this, they closed off access and pushed it far back to where the public has access to. And he showed them these things doing these impossible maneuvers in the desert, in the night sky.
This I remember.
And so then he gets arrested. And so when he gets arrested, he was in fear of his own life. He goes public and tells this whole story. And then they erase his past. They erase his social security number. They erase his education background. Even though people that knew him and knew he worked at Los Alamos Labs, he takes George Norrie of a tour of Los Alamos Labs, knows the people that work there. They all say hi to him. He takes them on a tour around the laboratory.
Yeah.
Shows them around, shows them the devices they use for biometric security. And
I think the one thing you can't ignore is that there was documentation that he did work at one of these places.
Yes.
And they later claimed he didn't.
Yes.
And like I think I was watching the thing on, maybe it was Netflix. I think like he promoted that, right? It was on Netflix. They show the paper, like we found it.
Yes.
Like he clearly was there.
He was in the employee registry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No.
But you know, for me, man, I'd love to believe it all.
He's been insanely consistent about that story.
Yeah.
For 40 years.
I want to believe. You know what I mean?
Or 30 years, whatever it's been. Yeah, I want to believe too. That's the problem.
Man, Pixar
didn't
happen.
I want to believe, but that's nonsense. Pixar, it didn't happen is nonsense.
Well,
how do you what about Neanderthals?
No,
what about dinosaurs? There's no pics.
I'm more so joking, right? What I mean is, show me the evidence, right?
I get it.
Let's, the challenge with any theory. I don't like saying conspiracy theory because they're not always conspiracies. Is that people want something to be true. And so they end up looking for things to justify what they think it already is.
Of course.
Instead of starting with what you've got and trying to figure out where it goes from there.
But when you start with what you've got a guy who was living in Vegas, was taking these flights out to Area S4, knows the place, knows it inside out, can describe it very accurately. Also worked at Los Alamos Labs, describes that very accurately.
Right.
Yeah,
it proves he worked there.
Yeah, and
but
also proves he's also a legitimate scientist.
But what
when you talk to the guy, he's a brilliant guy. He's not a nut.
Right.
But what?
Are you saying aliens?
That doesn't mean aliens.
No, I'm just asking. Like, so
it doesn't mean aliens, but that's what he was told.
Right.
What he was told is this is something that has come from somewhere else, and they're trying to figure out how to work it, and how to use it.
What if we're in a simulation? And this was something that was leftover code, or it wasn't supposed to be placed in this certain iteration.
Or what if there's multiple dimensions that we don't have access to, and that these things do?
You believe in UFOs?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah.
See, I believe in there's other life forms out there, but I don't think they're coming here.
They might. Here's the thing. They might. Well, why not think it? But just because here's one thing I do believe: most people are full of shit when it comes to like most of their stories. Like it's hard to find a person that could just tell you what happened based on what they really remember. People want to jazz things up and they want to add salt and pepper.
Yeah,
they
had
just
sex with me. Did this? Did that?
They don't necessarily tell you the truth. They tell you what they think is going to be an engaging story that kind of represents the truth, maybe. Especially when it's a weird thing like you saw something in the sky. What did you really see? How long did you look at it for? How many seconds was it?
Well, I mean, here's the problem I have with UFOs. I believe there are UFOs, but I don't think they're coming here.
Why would you say that?
Because that means first of all, if they're coming here, that means their technology is way more advanced than ours.
Right.
So why would they care if people saw them? They would show up. If I was an alien and I was that far ahead of us, I would land that bitch right in the middle of Times Square and be like, what? We are here.
But why would you do that?
But why wouldn't I?
Well,
why am I
for a couple
hiding
reasons.
in fields where nobody can see us?
Are you aware of how we treat uncontacted tribes?
Yes, to
Yeah,
a point. But what I'm saying is, if you're that far advanced, they know. If they're coming here, they know. They're way smarter than us,
right?
Because they've traveled here,
right?
And we don't even know from far distances we can't even imagine. And they're here; they don't have to hide. It's
but
just
do you
like,
think they do it because they have to hide? Or do you think maybe they do it because we can't handle it? Because we can handle it.
Why would they care if we could handle it or not?
Because here's the problem. Whenever any civilization has ever encountered a civilization far superior to them, the results have always been catastrophic every single time. Every time Europeans have invaded North America, every time the Spanish visited the Mexicans, every time that this has happened, it's been a disaster. And this is human beings. If there was something that came down here from another planet and was so unbelievably sophisticated that it could travel through vast distances in space and had insurmountable, impossible technology, that we would look to it for all of our answers. It would become our new daddy. It would completely disrupt all of our governments. It would disrupt all of our religions. It would disrupt every single belief system we have. And people would fall apart. They wouldn't know what to do. Psychologically, it would be devastating. Look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist, but I know most people would not be able to handle it.
I understand that, but why would they care?
Because
that's my whole point.
Because
why would they care about
because
us?
They would be affecting our culture.
But they wouldn't care.
But why wouldn't they care?
But why would they care?
We care about animals, bro. There's a reason why we have wildlife protection agencies. We have that because we care about animals. And animals don't even know we're a thing. Okay, if you're a deer living in the forest and you're 2 years old, you might not have ever even seen a person. You don't even know what the fuck we are. But we're trying to keep those deer alive. We spend billions of dollars every year protecting them. We do that because we care about wildlife. If we cared about a rare monkey that we found in Indonesia for some strange monkey, we would do whatever we could to make sure that monkey's populations thrived. If there was a way to help them, I mean, that's one of the reasons why zoos exist. They take rare animals, they try to breed them in captivity.
But we're also sharing the same Earth.
Well, then maybe they look at the universe that way, and maybe they look at nuclear civilizations like our civilization. I mean, our civilization's a very dangerous one because we're a bunch of semi-hairless monkeys with nuclear weapons. I mean, we're fucking nuts, bro.
Oh, yeah.
And we're obsessed with sex. We jack off to our phones. We're taking pills to keep our dick hard. We're all on speed. I mean,
we all have ADD.
I mean, we lie. We lie about shit. We lie about things that people did to us. We pretend people did worse things. We pretend that we didn't do things to people. We lie about stealing. We lie about money. We lie about all kinds of things. I mean, people are
so you're thinking
crazy.
You're thinking aliens are thinking about all that before they come down.
Of course they would. Why wouldn't they?
Because
why wouldn't they?
I guess I'm coming from a human point of view where we don't give a shit about anything.
But here's the thing, that's not true. We do give a shit about things. That's why when you go to the Galapagos Islands, you're not allowed to take your shoes, but you walked around Los Angeles and walk around the Galapagos Island. Because people have done that, and they've gotten seeds from their shoes stuck in the sand over there, or the ground over there, and then new plants grow that are invasive species. We're worried about ecosystems. We really are. That's why humans... That's where we're worried about invasive species.